What is going on, everyone? My name is Andy. Welcome back to another FPL video. It's double upload day. We did team selection earlier. Now we're talking about captaincy for game week 34. So looking at the best captains, there's three teams or three matches in particular I want to talk about. And then we're going to look through the other matches as well. There's quite a few punt options this week, I think. If you don't want to go for kind of Spurs or Leicester, there's lots of other options that you could consider. So we're going to talk about all of those. Obviously, I'm getting this video out a little bit earlier because of the football community coming together for the social media blackout. So I am joining that. So there won't be any content posted on this channel after 3 p.m. on Friday up until midnight on Monday, right? I mentioned that on the team selection video, and I also put a post up on the community tab. One other thing I wanted to say is thank you for 150,000 subscribers. Now, I am preempting myself a little bit because at the time recording, I haven't hit it yet, but we're only 5 people off. Hopefully, we have them by the time this video goes out. If not, feel free to leave a comment below telling me I'm an idiot. You can do that anyway, but preferably only if we haven't hit 150,000. So thank you to everybody that subscribed this season, the previous season, or if you were here right from the start. It's been mad. My aim was to get 100,000 by the end of the season. We're now at 150k with 5 game weeks left. And I think the channel has got more subscribers this season alone than the previous 3.5 together. So we're just getting bigger and hopefully better. Hopefully you're enjoying it. I've got some plans for next season as always, just to improve that a little bit more. Pre-season should be fun. I've got some stuff planned for that as well. So yeah, don't stop hitting that button if you haven't already. Do give it a like. Thank you very much. It really is appreciated. We're basically living the dream at the moment. But I guess for now we've got to talk captaincy. Let's get into it. Okay, so Southampton versus Leicester first. Now, this is the kind of perfect combination of teams. Southampton not looking great recently. And to be fair, if you look at the season stats, their expected goals conceded have been pretty poor the whole time. And they've only got worse, right? The amount of shots they concede hasn't really changed per match, but their expected goals has. And that's the key thing that we want to be looking at, really. And then you combine that with Leicester, how good they're looking right now, especially Iheanacho, but even Jamie Vardy, right? Don't discount him completely. So this looks like a good fixture, especially if you don't want to go to Spurs and you're not really looking to take a punt. This is probably the best fixture, right? Especially with Man United playing Liverpool. Now, as always, I've had a look at Southampton's last 4 and last 6 fixtures just to kind of see, because sometimes obviously teams play really good attacking teams and therefore the numbers get worse, although Leicester are a good attacking team in their own right. But Southampton have played Spurs, West Brom, Burnley, Brighton, Man City and Sheffield United. So Man City, fair enough. Obviously just played Spurs, fair enough, although no Kane. Brighton can trouble sides, and obviously West Brom are doing okay at the moment, but I think part of the West Brom game was West Brom being good, but also Southampton just not being great. Now, in terms of team news, right, obviously I'm recording this a little bit earlier than I usually do anyway, so press conferences we still got to wait for. But from what I've seen from Leicester, Barnes is out. He's had I think it was like a reoccurrence of his knee problem, or the surgery he had didn't fix it. So he's got to have more surgery. So hopefully he comes back fit as soon as possible. Because obviously it's a big blow for him and for Leicester. But they're just not going to change this Vardy and Iheanacho combo. For Southampton, Ings and Bertrand might be missing. So they're going to be weakened as well. So if you're thinking about Leicester, I can't find many reasons not to go for them. Unless you think that obviously Kane, Son, etc. are better. But for me, there's definitely a question over whether Kane is better. For Son, I'm not quite so sure. And Gareth Bale will be a punt anyway. We'll talk about that in a sec. I really think Iheanacho just looks great. I'm trying to find reasons not to go for him. But he just looks brilliant. 10 shots in the box, 6 chances created, 2.64 expected goal involvement over the last 4 matches. So that's a higher goal involvement expected than every other game, right? Which is great. Now, Vardy obviously has penalties. I've said this on videos already this week. Yes, Iheanacho has outscored Vardy quite a few times, but the week before last, Vardy did outscore Iheanacho. With penalties, there's always a chance that happens as well. Vardy has missed some chances I'd usually expect to put him away. And I've seen a few analytics people talk about how good Vardy's finishing can be. And he really is in a bad finishing slump right now. At some point, he's going to come out of that, you would think. Although he is obviously getting older and older, so he's got less years at Leicester to do that. But I think both of these are good options, right? So the way Southampton play, there's going to be space in behind for Iheanacho and Vardy. And obviously the case is to be made for Iheanacho. That's the one player that most people are, and he's had more shots in the box. But I think over the last few games, Vardy has been a bit more central. He still drifts wide at times. Obviously, one of his assists recently came from running in from wide as well. But I wouldn't put it past Vardy in any given game to not outscore Iheanacho. I think if you wanted to go for Leicester because you think it's a really good game, but you don't want to go for the obvious Iheanacho, then going for Vardy as a differential could be decent. Obviously, it didn't work out last week. It would have worked out the week before. But I think there's goals in this one for Leicester. I think they're looking good. I think everyone's talking about whether they'll bottle top 4 again. It doesn't look like it. I think they've nearly got it wrapped up. Plenty of rest time until the FA Cup final as well. It's on Friday. There's goals in this one for Leicester. Take your pick, Vardy or Iheanacho. If you've got both, I'd be tempted by Vardy. Most people only Iheanacho. If you don't want to go for Kane or Son, he is the one this week, I think. So we're going to kind of keep on talking about the obvious picks first, right? So Iheanacho, definitely one that a lot of people are going to be looking at. But Harry Kane was probably the standout for this game week before the injury. Now, the only thing that would kind of put me off him is if Ryan Mason questions his fitness, about why he started the Man City game, how he's looked since. I'm sure he's going to get questioned on it. I hope he is. Or if there's an article that comes out that maybe questions it or something like that, then that might put me off. But before that injury happened, he was the one that a lot of people were earmarking as captain this week. Now, just to show you how kind of close he is to Iheanacho now, or how close Iheanacho is to to Kane, Iheanacho's stats per 90 minutes. Now, he has got quite a few games under his belt at this point. Are 0.47 non-penalty XG and 0.2 expected assists. That's 0.66 combined. For Kane, it's 0.49 XG, so he's 0.002 better, and his assists are 0.002 better as well. So he comes out at 0.71 for both combined. So the difference between Iheanacho and Kane on a game-by-game basis isn't actually that different. So if you have got any concerns over his fitness, you could just go for the Leicester boys instead. But obviously Kane does still come out on top. He's done it over a larger period of time. And he's on penalties as well. And that is a big factor, right? So I still like Kane. You look at his last 4 matches, 12 shots in the box, 3.65 expected goal involvement. And I've taken out penalties from that as well. Same for Son. The other player I've listed here is Bale. Now, there's a few people talking about Bale's minutes. And I kind of agree that he's probably going to start more matches than not. He's still a risk, but at this stage of the season where you're maybe looking for a high-risk, high-reward pick, perhaps he's the one. Sheffield United give up a lot of chances. You can see that in the numbers. All season they've done it. They've been relegated now. Last 4 matches have also been pretty bad. And I've had a look at who they played. Brighton, Wolves, Arsenal, Leeds, Leicester, Southampton. So again, they've played some pretty decent teams for attacking potential. So Leeds and Leicester in particular. Obviously, they beat Brighton recently, but they're there for the taking. Spurs did fine against them in the reverse fixture. I don't see why that wouldn't happen again. If you want to go for a risk versus reward pick, then it's Bale. If you pick Bale, then you've got to understand it could go really wrong as well. But if it doesn't, your quid's in. If it does, then you've got to be prepared to lose that rank as well. I don't mind Son as an option. Like, he is shooting a little bit more. Will that continue with Bale in the side? I'm not so sure. He is still quite creative compared to the others. For me, I think if you've got Kane and Son, unless there's any fitness concerns, it has to be Kane. But Son is not a bad pick. If you don't want to go for Leicester, and you want to stick with Spurs but not Kane, then it has to be Son, unless you're going to go for the kind of wild card pick that is Gareth Bale, that I know a lot of people are looking to bring in. But this is a good fixture. I would ignore the Brighton result because Brighton are weird. They always do well on like expected data. They never convert that into points, hardly ever. Spurs is different. It's a good game. There's going to be goals in this one as well. And I'm backing Kane unless there's any concerns over his fitness that Mason tells us in the press conference. So I've put this down as one of the main matches, even though I know there's going to be lots of rotation, because this is such a good fixture. Crystal Palace is a great fixture. Now, I know at times against Leicester they did okay, but Leicester scored 2, and if you watch the game, like, part of me thinks, yeah, okay, Palace did well at times, but also I don't know how Leicester didn't score more. They had plenty of opportunities to do that. So I still think Crystal Palace are there for the taking. I don't think they're going to be able to cope with Man City no matter what team they put out. It's worth saying that they have rotated before and the score hasn't been great. Like, it hasn't been massively high. Obviously, they did that with the Leeds game, for example, as well. And I think against Fulham too. I think it was like 2 goals maybe they scored. I think it was 3 actually. But Fulham didn't really do themselves any favours. But it's not like Crystal Palace's defence is any better, right? 1.59 expected goals conceded per game over the season. That's 1.93 and 1.99 over the last 6 and 4. They've played Leicester, Chelsea, Everton, West Brom, Spurs, and Man United. So they have played good teams, which is why the stats have got bad. Well, guess what? They're about to play another good team. Now, the thing is here, I just can't tell you who's going to get rotated. They're in prime position now to get to the Champions League final. The league is done, right? Pep will know. He's not going to come out and say that, but he knows it's nearly done. Officially, it could be done this weekend, right? And they haven't really got too many difficult fixtures left. So they are going to wrap up the league. And the Champions League is massive. Pep wins the Champions League at City. That is huge, right? So there's going to be rotation. So Sterling surely is going to start. When I look at, if I pull the FPL site up here on my other monitor, I think Jesus has started the last 5 games now in the league. So, yeah, he started the last 5. He scored in 2. He obviously got brought off at half-time versus Villa, but they were down to 10 men. I believe that is why he came off at half-time. Stones got red carded. Jesus played. Jesus came off and then Laporte came on. So I would expect Laporte to start this game, but he's probably not a capsy option. So Jesus is potentially a decent option. And Ferran Torres has probably got a good chance of starting as well. Now, Torres has not got a score over 8 this season, so I don't know how explosive he could really be for a captaincy. But Sterling or Jesus I would look at. Now, the numbers aren't fantastic for Jesus, like 4 shots in the box, 6 chances created. But the minutes over the last 4, obviously he did miss half a game. And the same with Sterling and Torres. They've missed minutes over these games. So it's maybe not as good as it might be over like a full 90 minutes. So if you're going to take a punt, right, and we're going to talk about some more punts in a minute, but this is like punts for the best team in the league. Like, if you're going to ever expect a big score, this is where I would be looking. So I think Jesus or Sterling are options. I put Torres in there as well because I think these 3 could start. I mean, obviously, wait for team news and stuff tomorrow, press conferences and things like that. Like, will both De Bruyne and Gundogan get rested again? Possibly, because they got Champions League, then they got Chelsea, and I expect most of them to play in that game. It could be after that we start to see a little bit less rotation, but I think there is a chance that De Bruyne and Gundogan miss out. But it's hard to say. The only reason I've listed these 3 is because I think they will start. Even if Gundogan or De Bruyne, one of them starts, these 3 will probably also start. The top 2 is where my money would be for captaincy, Sterling and Jesus rather than Torres, but you never know. So if you want to take a punt on a team that is almost guaranteed goals in whatever match they play, then I think Man City's got to be it. And if you want to go wild, Sterling and Jesus, look, I'm not saying, if you're ranked in the top 1K, top 10K, and you really want to stay there, that you bring these guys in, because there is an element of risk. But if you think there's a genuine chance, I'd think about it at least. So we'll look through some other matches. Now, I think there are some punts as well as Man City. The reason I picked Man City to have its own game is because, or its own section, is because Crystal Palace is such a good fixture and Man City is such a good team. But there are some other fixtures I would look at. So there's 2 in particular where the teams playing each other are just not... To be honest, there's almost 3 teams that are playing each other where either their defence hasn't looked great this season or it hasn't been great recently. So Everton versus Villa is the first one that pops into my head. I've said this a few times now. I don't trust Villa or Everton right now. And their expected goals conceded over the season, they're like bottom 7 and 8. I think they are literally 7th and 8th for the worst teams. So that could be worth a look. The problem with Villa is I don't think Grealish is going to be back still. Again, we'll have to wait for press conference news. In which case, you're relying on the likes of Watkins to do something without him. And I'm not sure I would trust that as far as captaincy goes. But again, we're talking punts here. And obviously with Everton, you've got Sigurdsson, Calvert-Lewin, Richarlison. You could look at all them. I do think Villa will offer space in behind that defence. Like Mings and Konza have made quite a few mistakes over, especially the last game, but over the last few weeks as well. Mings in particular, I'm just not sure about. So if Calvert-Lewin gets onto him, I don't know, maybe that'll leave space in behind for Richarlison or either of them. But I don't mind that as a fixture. And I think Burnley versus West Ham as well. West Ham, since they lost Rice, not looking great. Burnley just put 4 past Wolves as well. And Burnley not looking good either. Okay, fair enough. The 4-0 win against Wolves was good. Before that, they conceded 3 to Man United, 2 to Newcastle. They conceded 3 to Southampton, only 1 to Everton, to be fair. But they have been shipping goals. So you could maybe look at a West Ham player like Lingard, for example, or Bowen as outside options too. The other one that I kind of thought about when I started talking about it is West Brom versus Wolves. West Brom are scoring a few goals at the moment, and Wolves have just lost 4-0. But The thing with Wolves is the 2 games before they kept 2 clean sheets, and we're thinking right, those that brought him on brought like Cody and Sicey in on wildcard, looking really good. Now all of a sudden they conceded 4, and we're like, right, back off from Wolves. I don't necessarily think they're going to get tanked in this game, but the 4-0 game, the 4-0 result the game before is maybe not going to give them too much confidence. So if you've got like a Pereira or someone for West Brom, perhaps you risk it. I think with Wolves attackers, you just ignore them, to be honest. Outside of that, again, Arsenal versus Newcastle. Arsenal could rotate quite a bit, maybe set maximum for Newcastle. And I think Man United versus Liverpool, personally, I always avoid those games for captaincy. It could be tight, it could be a 0-0, just a 1-0 to either side. I'm not expecting too many goals. So that's what I'm looking at. I think Pereira potentially, like I said, Lingard, Chris Wood obviously as well after scoring his 4 are kind of the games that I like the look of where both sides are a bit dodgy. The other one is Chelsea versus Fulham. I think there's a good chance someone like Havertz starts against Fulham just because he didn't play in the Champions League. And I do think this is the game that Chelsea will rotate the most because after this it's Champions League, then it's Man City, then it's like Arsenal, Leicester, FA Cup final. Most of the first 11 are going to play most of those games. If they're going to rotate, it's this one. So Alonso's probably going to get a go. He could be an outside punt if you still own him, and Havertz as well. So for me, the standouts definitely Kane, Son, Iheanacho, Vardy. Outside of that, there are a lot of punts. As always, there's an element of risk with doing that, but lots of options depending on how you want to play it. There we go. That is it for this one. Thank you very much for watching. If you have enjoyed it, give it a like and hit that subscribe button. Leave a comment below. Let me know who you are captaining this week. At the time of recording, like when I started, we needed 5 subscribers for 150k. Now we need 3. So we've gained 2 since I've recorded this video. Hopefully we're at 150 before this video comes out. Otherwise I look like a proper idiot. But thank you once again. It really is appreciated. I'm massively grateful. I can't quite understand how it's happened because I'm just an idiot sitting here talking about a game I love. But there we go. I do appreciate the support. I will be back tomorrow with a deadline stream, but not at the usual time because of everything I've talked about already. So that'll be sometime in the morning / early afternoon. I'm not quite sure when, but I will be on hand to answer some of your questions. Thanks for watching. I'll leave it there. Good luck this weekend, and I'll see you soon.